Life together became a true trial when her husband began to uncritically follow his mother's directives. One day, he arrived home and declared, quote, "zero." With that, he handed over all of the family's bank cards and cash to his mother. His wife attempted to reason with him, reminding him, "Darling, but this apartment is mine. My parents provide our funds, and you're unemployed." He merely waved her off and went to sleep. Greetings, dear listeners. It's a pleasure to welcome you to my channel. I have a captivating news story for you. Enjoy your listening. Ksenia had always believed she married for love. Oleg seemed so dependable, tall, calm, with strong hands and a confident gaze. It was true, his career wasn't going particularly well. Projects would be canceled, colleagues wouldn't be a good fit, or his boss would turn out to be a tyrant. But Ksenia believed this was temporary. She worked as an accountant at a trading company, earning around $80,000, which was enough for both of them. The apartment was hers. A small one-bedroom in a 9-story panel building on the outskirts, left to her by her grandmother. Her parents helped out. Every month they sent $20,000 for groceries and household expenses. Lyudmila, her mother-in-law, entered their lives gradually, like mold on a wall. At first it was subtle, then impossible to remove. Initially, she visited once a month, then once a week, and for the past 6 months she had practically moved in. She owned her own house in the suburbs, but only returned there to sleep, spending her days at the young couple's place. "Alyojek, you've gotten so thin," she would lament, scrutinizing her son. "She doesn't feed you at all. What does she spend money on?" Ksenia was at the stove, frying cutlets. The refrigerator held fresh vegetables, fruits, meat, and fish. A grocery receipt for $7,500 still lay on the table. "Mom, everything's fine," Oleg would dismiss, but Ksenia noticed him avoiding her gaze. "What's fine? Look at yourself, skin and bones. And she's gotten so plump. It's clear she doesn't deny herself anything." Ksenia clutched the spatula. She had indeed gained 5 kilograms in their year of marriage, but it was due to stress and the hormonal medication prescribed to her. Oleg knew this but remained silent. "Lyudmila Sergeevna, dinner will be ready in 10 minutes, Ksenia said dryly. "See? That's how she talks to me." Her mother-in-law immediately flared up. "No respect, no warmth, and she's your mother, by the way," Ksenia retorted. "My mother lives in the next district and never says nasty things to me at every opportunity." Lyudmila pouted and fell silent, but her expression promised this was far from over. Oleg buried himself in his phone. During dinner, his mother-in-law poked at her cutlet with her fork. "Too fatty and too salty. Oleg, are you eating this? Your stomach is delicate." "It's fine, Mom," he mumbled, but didn't finish the cutlet. Ksenia silently cleared the plates. Inside, she was seething, but she held back, not wanting a scene. Lyudmila would leave eventually, and then she could talk to Oleg calmly, explain that this couldn't go on. But her mother-in-law didn't leave. She stayed for the night, took off her shoes, retrieved her slippers from her bag, and settled on the sofa with the air of a full-fledged owner. "Quote 12, she announced. Quote 13. Oleg didn't respond. Ksenia felt something snap inside her. "We do mind," she said quietly. "Lyudmila Sergeevna, you have your own home. We need our personal space." "Personal space?" she shrieked. "Did you hear that, Oleg? She's kicking me out, your mother who gave birth to you, raised you, dedicated her entire life to you." "Kshush, just 1 or 2 days," Oleg mumbled. "Mom is cold. It's really cold at her place." "Then she can call the plumbers or stay at her own place with a heater, but not here." "Look at her," Lyudmila exclaimed triumphantly. "Your wife! Kicking out an older woman to freeze while she herself stays warm in an apartment she got for free." Ksenia turned and went into the bedroom. She sat on the bed, cradling her head. Tears welled up, but she held them back. She had to think, had to decide something. Voices could be heard from outside the door. Lyudmila was whispering persuasively to Oleg, her tone sweet, cloying and laced with self-pity. Then her mother-in-law went to the bathroom and Oleg peeked into the bedroom. "Don't be angry," he pleaded. "It's really cold at her place. 3 or 4 days and she'll leave." "Oleg, are you even listening to me? Your mother constantly insults me. She says I don't feed you even though I spend half my salary on food. She says I'm fat even though I gained weight due to illness. And you say nothing." "But she's worried about me. My mother. Don't pay attention." "How can I not pay attention when it's every single day? Ksyusha, don't make a scene. I'm tired. We'll talk tomorrow." He lay down, turned to the wall, and within 5 minutes was snoring. Ksenia lay awake for a long time, staring into the darkness. 3 or 4 days stretched into 2 weeks. Lyudmila had settled on the sofa, occupied half the closet in the hallway, and arranged her creams and medications in the bathroom. She woke up before everyone else, clattered around the kitchen, and cooked Oleg some special porridge made with goat's milk, pumpkin, and honey. She didn't offer any to Ksenia. "You don't need this," she'd say with a sly smile. Oleg silently ate the porridge, thanked his mother, got ready, and left. Where to? Ksenia didn't know. He browsed vacancies online but didn't attend interviews, claiming he was meeting friends, discussing options, and looking for something, quote, 31 day. Ksenia returned from work to find the entire apartment cleaned, washed, and rearranged. Her cosmetics in the bathroom were now in a basket under the sink instead of on the shelf. Her books on the windowsill had disappeared. Lyudmila had packed them in a box and shoved it under the bed. And in the kitchen, a new, old-fashioned enamel kettle with a whistle proudly sat. Quote 31, her mother-in-law announced proudly. Quote 32, Ksenia felt something constrict within her, as if she herself were being folded and shoved under the bed. This was her apartment, her belongings, her life. But Lyudmila was methodically pushing her out, occupying every inch of space, every moment of time. Quote 33. Ksenia said slowly, quote 34, quote 35. Ksenia lunged for the trash can. There lay crumpled her psychology magazines, a notebook with her notes, and a postcard from a friend. She pulled everything out, clutching it to her chest. Quote 36, quote 37. Oleg remained silent, staring at his phone. Ksenia walked over to him, knelt beside the armchair, and looked him in the face. Quote underscore 38 underscore. He raised his eyes, tired and empty. Ksenia stood up. The world tilted around her. She understood she had lost, that Oleg would never side with her, that for him, his mother's voice was the only one that mattered. From that point on, Lyudmila felt completely in charge. She dictated what Ksenia should cook, how to do laundry, and where to store things. If Ksenia objected, a performance would begin. Tears, laments, complaints to Oleg about his cruel daughter-in-law. "She's kicking me out. I'm a stranger to her, and I only wanted to help, only to care for you." Oleg invariably sided with his mother. Ksenia felt herself losing ground with each passing day. This was her apartment, her money, her life, but she no longer belonged to herself. Then the discussions about money began. Lyudmila would sigh every evening, looking at the refrigerator. "Olejek, you're going hungry again? Look what she buys. Nothing but vegetables. A man needs meat, fish, and this is just some grass." "There's salmon in there," Ksenia replied wearily. "Fresh, a kilogram for 1,200. "Salmon? Are you sure it's not fake? Everything's a scam these days. You need to buy from reliable places. I know a market, a good butcher there. Everything's fresh, but it's a bit pricey. Of course, a kilogram of pork is 800. Beef, 1,100. But the quality..." Ksenia remained silent. She bought groceries according to a list, counted every penny, and planned the menu for the week. They had enough money, but no luxuries. Lyudmila continued, "And if your finances were managed properly, you could eat better. When I was young, I always recorded expenses, knew where every ruble went. And you, Ksenia, do you keep track?" "I do. And how much do you spend a month?" "That's private." "Private? Oleg, are you listening? Secrets from your husband." Or maybe she's saving money on the side, huh? So she can run off later and leave you with nothing? Lyudmila Sergeevna, that's enough. Ksenia put down the knife she was using to cut bread and turned around. I earn money. I pay for the apartment, for food, for everything, and I don't need to account for it. You earn 80,000. Is that even money? Now Oleg, when he worked, he brought in 120. That was 2 years ago at the job where he was laid off. And since then, he hadn't brought a single kopeck into the household. Silence descended. Lyudmila turned pale, then red. Oleg looked up. Quote 55. His voice was icy. Lyudmila flared up. Ksenia felt tears welling up. Ksenia grabbed her bag and ran out of the apartment. She went downstairs to the yard and sat on a bench. It was cold, drizzling, but she didn't care. She cried, wiping tears with her jacket sleeve, unable to stop. Her phone remained silent. Oleg didn't call, didn't text. After an hour, Ksenia got up and trudged back. The apartment was quiet. Lyudmila sat on the sofa, watching television. Oleg lay in the bedroom, scrolling through his phone. I'm sorry, Ksenia said quietly. I lost my temper. He shrugged. All right, forget it. Just don't bother Mom anymore, okay? She nodded and went to the bathroom. She looked at her reflection. Red eyes, swollen face, weariness in her gaze, and didn't recognize herself. What had happened to her? Where was the Ksenia who used to laugh, make plans, and believe in love? But the worst happened a week later. Ksenia came home from work and discovered her bank card was missing from her wallet, along with her second payroll card and $3,000 in cash she'd set aside for a friend's gift. Lyudmila Sergeevna, have you seen my wallet? She asked, trying to keep her voice calm. No, her mother-in-law replied, not looking up from the television. Oleg came out of the bedroom. His face held a strange expression, guilty yet stubborn. Ksyush, I took the cards and the cash. Mom is right. We need order in our finances. You spend money on God knows what while we're economizing on everything. I'll manage the budget from now on. Ksenia was stunned. Oleg, these are my cards, my salary, my money. Our money, he corrected. We're a family, and I, as the man, should manage the budget. Mom said it's the right way. Mom said, Ksenia repeated slowly, Oleg, do you have any brains at all, or is it just Mom's voice in there? He stepped towards her. His face darkened. Don't you dare speak like that. How else should I speak? You took my money, my cards. You've been unemployed for 8 months. You live in my apartment on the money my parents provide and that I earn, and you dare to boss me around. Oleg waved his hand dismissively. Here we go again. I'm tired of this. We'll talk when you calm down. He turned and went into the bedroom. He lay down on the bed, turned to the wall. Ksenia stood in the middle of the room, feeling everything inside her tear apart, shatter, and fly into pieces. Lyudmila smiled with satisfaction from the sofa. That's better. A man should be the head of the family, and you, Ksenia, learn to respect your husband. Ksenia walked to the kitchen, sat at the table, took out her phone. Her hands trembled. Her mind was blank. Then something clicked, and the emptiness filled with cold fury. She opened her banking app and blocked both cards. Then she called the bank, explained the situation, and requested new cards be issued in her name, delivered to her work. The operator was sympathetic and promised the new cards would be ready in 3 days. Ksenia then texted her parents. Mom, Dad, please stop transferring money to the old card. I'll send new details later, and I'll explain everything then. The reply came instantly. Ksyusha, what happened? We're fine. Just do it, please. Okay, darling, we're always on your side. Ksenia exhaled, then opened apartment rental ads, found several options. Small studios, affordable. She saved the landlord's phone numbers, then stood up and went to the bedroom. She took a large bag from the closet and began packing her things. Oleg was either asleep or pretending. Lyudmila was lamenting something from the living room, but Ksenia didn't listen. She methodically packed clothes, shoes, documents, and cosmetics. When the bag was full, she took out the apartment documents from a desk drawer, the ownership certificate, the gift deed from her grandmother. Everything was registered in her name. She photographed the documents and emailed them to herself. Then she hid them back in the furthest corner of the drawer under a stack of old magazines. Her next step was to text a friend. "Can I spend the night at your place urgently?" "Of course. What happened? I'll tell you when we meet." She grabbed her bag, threw on her jacket. Lyudmila jumped up from the sofa. "Where do you think you're going?" "To a friend's with my things." Oleg, wake up, she's running away." Oleg emerged, sleepy and disheveled. "Kshush, what's wrong?" "I need to think, to be alone." "Because of the cards?" "But I didn't mean to. Mom just said—" "I don't care what your mother said." Xenia cut him off. "I'm leaving. Don't call me. When I'm ready, I'll contact you myself." She walked out the door without looking back. She descended the stairs, went outside. It was dark, cold, but inside, a fire burned, bright, hot, consuming everything. She stayed with her friend for 3 days, told her everything, cried, listened to advice, called a lawyer who explained her rights and options, and formulated a plan. On the 4th day, she returned to the apartment. Oleg and Lyudmila were sitting in the kitchen drinking tea. Upon seeing Xenia, her mother-in-law pursed her lips. "Had your fill of wandering." "Oleg, we need to talk," Xenia said, ignoring her. "Let's talk privately." "Anything you say to me, my mother can also hear," he stated flatly. "Fine." Xenia took a folder of documents from her bag and placed it on the table. "Here is the ownership certificate for the apartment. It's mine. My grandmother gifted it to me personally. You aren't even mentioned in the deed." "I'm not claiming anything. _quote_95_excellent. Then here's your notice of marriage dissolution. I filed the application yesterday. The divorce will be finalized in a month." Silence descended. Lyudmila opened her mouth but uttered no sound. Oleg turned pale. "Kshush, what are you doing?" "I'm tired, Oleg. Tired of supporting you. Tired of tolerating your mother. Tired of being a stranger in my own apartment. Tired of you never once taking my side. _98 Kshush. Wait, we can discuss everything. I'll find a job. Mom will leave." "It's too late. I've already decided." Lyudmila snapped out of it. "So this is who she is. This is your wife. She used you and discarded you. Oleg, my dear, don't worry. You'll come live with me, and I won't abandon you. And another thing, you have 3 days to move out. I'll change the locks. If you're still here in 3 days, I'll call the police." "You have no right," Lyudmila shrieked. "I do. This is my apartment, and I have the right to decide who lives here." The lawyer confirmed everything. Oleg looked at her as if seeing her for the first time. "Ksyusha, I thought you loved me." "I did. Until you turned into a mama's boy, incapable of even defending your own wife. You'll regret this. You'll be left alone. No one will have you, you old cow. Hello, Oleg, you look well." "Thank you. Walking alone. No one's taken you, I see." Xenia looked at her, at this woman who had once poisoned her every day, and suddenly realized she felt no anger, no resentment, only a mild pity. "Alone," she smiled. "I'm better off this way." She nodded at them and headed for the entrance. At the door, she turned back. Oleg stood watching her go. Lyudmila was tugging at his sleeve, saying something, but he wasn't listening. In his eyes, there was something Xenia hadn't seen before. Regret, perhaps, or simply weariness. She went upstairs, opened the door. The apartment smelled of freshness and cleanliness. On the windowsill, flowers bloomed green in new pots. An open book lay on the table. Ksenia unpacked her bags, put on the kettle. Outside, evening was falling. Soft, warm, May. Children laughed below. Music played somewhere. She brewed tea in the glass kettle, poured it into her favorite mug, returned to the window. She sat in an armchair, tucked her legs up, picked up the book. Life went on, her life, and it belonged only to her.